Before we close up, let's talk about one more highly specialized strategy you can use: categorizing inventory to maximize value. This is less a strategy for improving viewability and more of a strategy for increasing the understanding up the ad call chain of the value of the ad inventory you have that is viewable. Here, grouping your highly viewable ad inventory into a category and assigning a key value to it can help silo your viewable inventory off, allowing you to do interesting things with it. If you have deep enough relationships with demand partners, and typically large-scale ad monetization partners and massive publishers will be the only ones with this kind of sway, you can directly pass this information up the chain to SSPs so that they can value your highly viewable inventory as premium. While the recommendation requires some sway, there are ways to use this inventory categorization as a smaller standalone publisher as well. As a publisher, you can also use these key values to set unified pricing rules in Google Ad Manager, increasing your price floors on highly viewable inventory to maximize revenue. Similarly to changing ad unit settings, we've found that figuring out exactly how to get your price floor settings for highly viewable inventory perfectly dialed in is a job best suited for AI and machine learning, not human trial and error. And that's why we built our price floor controller. Lastly, let's look at examples of specific ad units and see how we can improve viewability using a combination of placement and settings. We'll begin by looking at what you can do for your above-the-fold in-content ad units. Your goal is to get them as low on the page as you can while keeping it above the fold. Often, this means moving it just under a title card or below the first listing on a listing page. Keep in mind, this may mean a different placement on both desktop and mobile, as the fold will happen at very different places. This may also mean that some units may need above the fold treatment on desktop but below the fold treatment on mobile, depending on where they fall. With above the fold units, you likely don't need to worry about lazy loading, but will want to consider refreshing only when in view so that once a user scrolls the ad out of view, it quits refreshing. Next, let's look at the case where you have a unit below the fold in content. You'll want to look for opportunities to get the ad unit higher on the page, unless it is an in-article unit that auto-injects every so many paragraphs. The higher the unit is, the more likely it will be to be scrolled into view. With below-the-fold units, you may consider experimenting with lazy loading, particularly if you are concerned with page load speed. These units are also great candidates for choosing to refresh only when in view. If a unit is almost at the bottom of the page, you may want to look at both viewability and revenue metrics for the unit. You may want to consider completely removing the unit if it is hurting viewability badly and not really generating revenue. For in-content ads, like in-article units, you can also consider utilizing a scrollable container, where the unit begins docked to the top of the container and then scrolls down within the container as the user scrolls down the page. This allows you to hold space for multiple ad sizes without worrying about your content shifting depending on which ad size shows, an important feature for reducing cumulative layout shift. The fact that this unit stays sticky within the container as the user scrolls down simply helps to give an opportunity for a full second of in-view time. You likely won't see a huge impact to viewability with this change alone, but every little bit adds up. If you have a sidebar, you'll definitely want to take advantage of it. You'll want to make sure you have at least one of your units remaining sticky as the user scrolls. Otherwise, you're just wasting opportunities. If you have multiple stacked units, you'll likely want to look at a stacked sticky medium rectangle layout. This layout allows you to continually serve new medium rectangles in the sidebar as the user scrolls down the page and is great for making use of empty sidebar area and provides plenty of in-view ad opportunities. You can also start to experiment with trigger-based refresh rules. You can look for opportunities that signal clear user interaction as a chance to refresh in-view ad units. Some examples of user interactions that might qualify as a reason to potentially refresh include a user bringing a tab back into focus, a user interacting with an element on page, typically best done on an interactive experience, or a major change in layout of the page as the result of an interaction, like a game ending and showing a closing screen.
Learn more at www.playwire.com/ad layout training. Or if you're watching on YouTube, click the link below in the description of this video.